Well, my name is Roberto Sanchez. I'm from north of Spain, from Cantabria. I've been involved with reggae music since the early 90s when I discovered it. I'm a producer, sound engineer, musician, and singer. You know, I discovered reggae as a little boy. I was starting my teenage. I was 14, and I discovered it. You know, being a Spanish born in the 70s, reggae was not so common here. So it was in 1990 or 1991 that I discovered the Bob Marley's Legend album. It was one of the only things available here. So I started digging into that special music I was feeling, into that rhythm. I couldn't understand most of the lyrics by then, but I was impressed by the sound and the vibration. So after that, Augustus Pablo, King Toby, Scientist, Israel Vibration, Meditations, Black Ark, and then the whole thing exploded in my head, and we start recording and producing and so on. It's not only my love for reggae or my love for music, but I found music within my family from the beginning. I mean, my grandmother, she was a pianist there in Cuba, in La Habana, and she met my grandfather there, and they came here. They make a living here. Growing as a kid, I saw my father singing, playing guitar, piano all my life. My brother is a guitar teacher, classical guitar. Myself, I studied music, as well as my other brother. My mother, she used to sing in a choir also, same as my father. My cousin, she's a pianist, everyone in my family. So it was not related to reggae in the beginning. It was only going to the conservatory and learning my piano lessons and everything. But I quickly discovered that all of those teachings were useful for developing my love in reggae. So I started having a band, and it suddenly happened. Yeah, I built my own studio and turned it into a museum just for the love of music. I mean, it's only that I started wanting to write that music that excited me a lot. So I learned how to express myself in English. Then I learned how to play guitar because my instrument was the piano. Then I found out that, man, bass is the real thing for reggae. So I started playing bass like you know. So I was delivering pizza in the 90s for buying my first bass, which is the same bass I'm using nowadays, my jazz bass from Fender. And then I discovered that bubbling sound within the piano, it was a Hammond organ and sometimes a Rhodes. So I said, man, I need to get one. So I was working for a summer in a coffee shop, and then I took a boat to England with a friend of mine in 1996, and we bought a Hammond. So cheap. It was not even 500 pounds. Leslie and the Hammond.
You bring it with the boat?
Yeah, man. we put it in a van. We put it in the boat, and we bring it back because we have a harbor where the ferry from England arrives, Santander to Plymouth. So yeah, and that's how I get the Hammond in the 90s. Then I used to record the pianos at my mother's with the reel-to-reel machine. I used to bring the reel-to-reel once a month to record all the pianos, and then I bring it back. But then I discovered I needed a piano for the studio, so I work a little bit more, and then I found the piano. So I'm recording for the last 26 years now. So I guess all my efforts went into building the studio of my dreams, you know, and because I play different instruments, I have different drum sets, I got different keyboards, I got the arpsolina, I got the clavinet, the this and the that, and that's how it came about. It was a really slow process of loving for music. My label was born in 1997 when I released the second album of my band then, which was called Lone Ark. So we made a CD, and we discovered that we needed a label to stamp on the CD to make it be official, let's say. So that's how Aylon Productions was born. In fact, in the beginning it was meant to be Aylon Production because we were Lone Ark, so it was Aylon Production.
Not alone like.
Not alone. You know, it's a production made by the Lone Group, no? So it was a Lone production.
Yeah.
But it ended up being Aylon Productions, and since then I did many releases like that. But then I discovered that every music got a different inner soul, and it deserves a different label. So, for example, we got a label called Empathy. When a singer is singing about a universal feeling which touches the deepest part of the soul, which is the empathy for other human being. And I got a song from Willie Williams called Don't Show Off. Man, it's so beautiful the way he explains that basic principle for any human being. Say, man, don't show off.
Deserve a label on its own.
It deserves a label. And then you got other songs in that way.
Mm.
I got that sub-label, for example, was born with Clive Matthews' Never Too Late. He's telling to a friend, to a girl, no, it's never too late. Never too late to change, to get what you have, to learn a new instrument, to play something. Never too late. Just go and do it. And that shows a lot of empathy and deep universal love. That's what I think. Then you got Jalov, because I love Rastafari. Rastafarians, I love the culture, I love it. I learned a lot from it. And there must be a label focused on Rasta message, which is also universal, because I work with many Rasta artists. And we got the Jalov label for Clive Matthews, for Rastio, for Willie Williams, for many others, you know. Then we got Truth, we got Nansa. So Aylon Productions is the head, and then we got all of these sub-labels which cover different topics. The process of building on my own analog and real instrumentation songs at the studio, it's a crazy process. In fact, you know, what I do is because I still do it on tape, reel-to-reel machine most of the time. So what I do is to create a maquette firstly on MIDI, like a MIDI maquette, so I can transfer it to the reel-to-reel machine, and then I play on top of it. I firstly play the drums. Once I feel secure with the drum take, then I go for the bass, then I replace the keyboard that I did the MIDI, and then I record the guitars. Sometimes I record first the guitars and then the keyboards, but that's more or less the process. Then I record the tambourine or percussions, and finally I bring my other part of the Lone Ark family, which are Gorka Fernandez and Sayoa Jorrin. They are the trumpet, trombone player, and sax and flute player. They are a couple, in fact. And that's how we build the rhythms. Sometimes I bring, if the producer want a different texture or different color, I may bring a different drummer. And then he plays the drum, I play the bass live, and then I keep on. And sometimes we do live, the whole thing. We bring different musicians, so we are maybe 6 people here recording live, which is also beautiful. I work with those artists I can feel through the records when we are talking about international aspect. So, for example, when it's a Jamaican or a UK singer, I felt them, or we met in a concert, so we do a song, and after that you discover the person. And most of the times there is a communion, so we keep on working. We will keep on working forever. It happened to me with Rasteo or with Limal Thompson or Rastuid. Earl 16 is a beautiful person. Clive Matthews, man, I want them close to me, and we found a good communion. And then there is another part of the artist, which is the family. You know, like Shanti Yalah, Inés Pardo, Ayman Cruz, Benjamin, or myself. You know, it's the people I've been growing with in the band, at the studio, doing live shows, while collecting records or going to shows or concerts. So all of those artists, except Benjamin lives in Barcelona, but Santi, Inés, Ayman Cruz, myself, we all live here. We live in Santander, and it's the family. We see each other almost every day. And
but they were already singing, or you made them?
No,
okay,
it's curious. I made them sing.
Yeah.
Wow, not Ferran. Not Ferran. Well, I make them sing. I introduce them to reggae or push them into their careers. For example, Inés Pardo, she's from a musical family in Santander, amazing family. His auntie was taking care of one of the best local choirs here, where some of my family were singing also. And she was already singing beautifully when I met her. But she never recorded a reggae, or she liked it, and I heard her singing soul. I said, man, this girl, I got a song for you, Ines, you got to record this. And we did Change Is Gonna Come by Jennifer Lara. And man, it was like, wow. And then we did Everyday Task. That's her second song, a song we released a long time ago. And that's how we started. Well, when I started pressing vinyl, the whole thing about the vinyls now is crazy. And when I started out, it was late 90s. It's not that long, but the whole thing was not popular at all. I mean, no major companies were pressing vinyl then. It was only CD. Downloading was not existent. It was not a possibility. So it was only CD and some other formats. And then it was quite easy to press for not a really expensive price. But since then, we discovered
there wasn't so many pressing plants.
Not really, but the demand was so
zero.
low.
Yeah.
So it was so easy. You got, by then it was MPO France, you got the record industry in Holland, you got Optimal in Germany, a few others in UK, and then the one I was using by then was the one in Czech Republic, GZ Vinyl.
GZ,
yeah. So we started out with them, but we were so happy in the beginning to receive our first vinyls. But we suddenly discovered that they were not something better than what we were doing. So since then we start developing the best way of pressing our vinyl, taking out of the vinyl the best we can. And the only way to do that is to go and do the mastering in a proper place, do the cutting, and do the lacquering the best way you can. Well, the thing is that I found that I'm not too old. I'm 45 now, but man, I found that having the music available for digital download is helping us to approach the younger generation. For me, any release which is not on vinyl is like it was not released. So I prefer not to release it rather than have it only for digital download. That's my opinion. But I think, I think it helps us. It helps us to be there and to be close to that new generation. They are used to buy a song on their cell phone. I never did that, to be honest. But I see they do it, and it's so nice because the message, the vibration, and everything reaches them. That's the truth, no? It reaches them. Yeah. So it's good. It's good in that sense. But it would be a pity if, there's a double reading of this fact. It's so easy for everyone have a home studio now and release things. But if you only work on digital, most of the platforms, they are like slave masters, let's say. It's a bit hard to say that, but man, they're just robbing you. Yeah. You give them your material and they give you a few cents and they capitalize everything that you got. No? So, but at the same time, it's good because everyone can express.
Promotion.
Yeah, and get promotion.
But you are using, Spotify, for instance?
No, I deny.
Okay.
I deny. I said to myself, no, I'm gonna keep on pushing my how you could say that, independent label.
Yeah.
And I'm only gonna use digital platforms that allow me to control the flow. Mm-hmm. For example, Bandcamp. So the only things I did that are available on Spotify or iTunes are things I did for other labels, and they agree with this way of distributing. But if it is me, I prefer not yet. I mean, maybe one day I got to do it, but I prefer to stay away. The scene in Spain has grown from a kid to a teenager. We can say, we can make that comparison. Okay. It's like when we started in the 90s, we just came out of the 80s, where everything was fire, because during the 70s we still had Franco here. So 80s was the time of awakening. Everything was crazy, but the music was a little bit techno and electronic, let's say, not techno but electronic, and then in the 90s everything started to calm down. We started to look to the past, to the 60s in UK, to the 60s in Spain, so you got a lot of bands, but they were not still doing proper reggae. It was more major key, of course, no sound system at all. Every selector would call himself sound system, but it was only a guy selecting records on a bar. That was the 90s. And with the birth of dancehall, not with the birth, but the birth in Spain of dancehall, the new era of dancehall, people turned it into that, while the root scene kept going with bands. And we kept going, growing, then the dancehall thing disappeared a little bit, new roots entered also a little bit. And bands started disappearing in favor to sound system. That was maybe like 12 years ago, 14 years ago. And now the scene has changed a lot, because there's now the teenager, which is the Spanish scene. They know much more about reggae, we know much more, we got much more sound system. But there's a lack of band shows now. Like band disappeared.
Circle.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I cannot complain. I think there is much better singers, much better producers, much better musicians, sound systems, which we don't have in the past. And it's growing and growing. I think we are in a good moment.
Yeah, I think in Barcelona also with the festival.
Well, it's a little bit more down the south. It's the next region in the south. No Barcelona, but it's more Comunidad Valenciana. It's in Castellón. And amazing. They moved. It's an Italian festival, and they moved to Spain. Well, in one hand, you got that big festival is like commercialization of Rastafari, like Jacob Miller used to say, no? Too much commercialization of Rastafari. That's all. Of course, yeah. But on the other hand, we've been complaining all of our life to have a big scenario to push the reggae, and they choose to do it in Spain. Man, I think it brought more good things than the bad things. Of course, it's still like it's a little bit commercial, let's say, but man, it's 20,000 people attending a reggae festival.
Yeah, it's great.
What's wrong? It's good. Well, we are right now. Yesterday I finished mixing a tune with Nasamba, and that is gonna be a polyvinyl. We're starting this Christmas. We're starting the new branch of the tree, of the Ark tree, which is releasing polyvinyls, really exclusive for sound system, tough tunes, limited editions, properly produced, and then I'm finishing recording the new Inespado album, the new Shanti Yalah. We got a new one, the new Aylon album. So we have many things planned for the 2022.
And some events also, sound system.
Yeah, we are planning different things. In fact, it's more in the Basque Country, and not depending on me at all. But you got people like Fran from Bombay's Hi-Fi, the sound system and the label, who is starting again the monthly dances. And that's amazing. So everything is happening again. Here in Cantabria, we are still building our own sound, because the studio is running wild, the artists, everyone is ready, but we never had the chance to develop the sound properly. Now we're doing it, and hopefully we will be playing in the next year.
Hopefully, if not pandemia again.
I hope so.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Muy bien, de nada.
Buenos días.
Well, not for now, because Buenos días is for the morning, but I'll take it.
Just for the joke.
I'll take it.